November 7, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. There was no economic data that came out today to seem like it really moved the market. This is what the overall chart looked like for today. It was kind of I thought it was going to be a range. Then it had a almost like three-leg rally, small little consolidation, a sell-off, and then kind of like a little two-leg rally to another consolidation. So clearly it was very bullish today. It was a slow grind though, and I didn't find very many setups similar to yesterday. Took a total of 3 trades. The first trade was kind of a nerfed trade, meaning I didn't really plan on it. It was an accidental brain fart on me. I dropped the order in earlier than I thought, and also didn't enter with an advanced trade management strategy. In other words, there was no stop or profit target entered. It was just like a naked entry. So I decided to pretty much scuttle that trade. I was able to get out with just kind of 2 points of profit, but that was kind of a, I guess, careless move on my part. We'll go through the trades right now. So the pre-market, things look like they're just going to be in a range, but then toward the very end, right before the market opened, it breaks out. I'm just watching. I thought things were fitting within this yellow channel, but I'm also aware of how many candles have printed since the overnight, which in actuality isn't all that much when you compare it to like a very busy day, something like over here. And so as I was watching, I thought, okay, this could be a range day. It could just be a failed breakout and it might come back in. So I'm just watching. Draw the pre-market. Well, here's actually the lows, but I drew the pre-market lows here. And originally I had the pre-market highs here, and I dragged it up a little bit later. So I'm watching. These candles are pretty much side by side. I didn't really see a good entry. Kind of comes down on this green channel, and I'm just still kind of sitting on my hands. Things are very tight. It's nowhere near a key entry point, no clean setup. I also want to point out that this blue line, this blue trend line, I didn't find until pretty much right here and confirmed it right here, but I wasn't taking it as anything to trade off of because I couldn't get the other side of the channel to fit quite right. So there was several things I was playing with today, and I was thinking of something like this, maybe something higher, something even higher up. I was also playing with the idea that maybe it was actually cutting through here and having, touch here. And then also thinking at one time, maybe it was actually this red channel that you see here. So in the end, it was a little bit, clearly things were bullish, but it was a little bit harder to determine and make things fit in a nice big channel. So I ended up playing a bunch of smaller channels. So here we are, the market's opening, or it's already open, it already flushed down. I see so I see this new low. I see a first entry short, second entry short. Now the second entry short technically is starting to fail right here. It's failing, and I'm looking for a higher low. And this is where I actually take my first trade, but it was kind of unintended. So I was looking for a higher low to confirm, and I wanted it to be clearly above the EMA. So when I saw this form, I'm thinking the next candle potentially could be a nice candle that has to be one tick above this and close above this, or at least show a lot of strength pushing above the EMA. So I actually had my order ready, and this is where it goofed up. So clearly this is a higher low. I was going to drop my order in, but my hand slipped and I actually entered right here. Excuse me, without the intent, and I didn't have my profit target and stop loss set. So it was just pretty much a buy order sitting out here by itself, and that was foolish. And so I decided to quickly get out on this next candle, but I also saw this as a new high. It's a first entry long, second entry long. Now, technically, this is a terrible signal bar for the second entry long, but when this was all forming, I was in the middle of the trade, and I thought, I need to get the heck out of this before I, lose money for no reason. Turned out it would have worked. So this isn't really a thought out trade at all. And it was just kind of dumb luck. And I was just lucky to kind of get out with just 2 ticks, pretty much break even. And prices continue moving up. It flashes through. And this is where I decided that this might be, this is the pre-market highs and it's breaking through. I'm watching, still wondering if it's going to be a fail breakout because it's kind of matching this overshoot here with another overshoot here. Comes up, it touches, it comes back down. At this point, I potentially see one big leg here. And I'm thinking that it could be a matching leg. So it comes down, you have a new high, it's first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here. And I was thinking there might be a red trend channel here, pretty much a trend line, but I wasn't ready to take this trade because it didn't look super clean at the time. There is a second entry long here, but this is a terrible signal bar, which would be this guy. It's bouncing off the EMA, so it's a little bit conflicting. It's also the break of this green channel, so you'd think prices might want to come back down here, but it could also want to test the highs here. So it's kind of reasons to go long and short here when you see this. So I decided just to sit on my hands. And prices continue moving. It breaks out of this pre-market highs and it starts moving up. So at this point, I see potentially, because I was playing with one leg here and I actually drew another leg here as a potential measured move. And later I settled on something right here and I placed the other leg right here. Prices are continuing up, breaks out of this green channel. And here I have this red trend channel drawn and I place the top here and I like the kind of the confirmations up here. So definitely I'm not really thinking going long, but I'm not ready to go short yet because the bias is clearly bullish. So I'm just sitting on my hands and waiting. These candles are just too tiny. The risk is too high in my opinion. Prices then touch the EMA and just kind of hovers around the EMA, both above and below. Falls into what I think is a trading range. Comes up. You could argue it is another bounce off of this bottom of this red channel. And it's getting close to making this measured move, which is this orangey channel here. Not orangey channel, but orangey one leg up, pull back, second leg up. So I do see a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. This is potentially a trade, depending on how you kind of did the count and if you considered this to actually have touched the top and made the measured move. So I would think it's kind of an aggressive trade. It's also a counter trend, but there is enough room to come all the way back down. This is an inside bar, so you'd really be kind of, you know, banking on that the measure move is more stronger than the overall previous bullish bias. So it comes coming back down, and then I actually see a better setup here with this lower high because it confirms the second entry short and has a really strong close below the EMA. And it looks like it's re-entering potentially this trading range, and there's enough room to the bottom. So this is a potential trade right here. Prices then continue moving. It chops around. I see a new low here. It's the first entry short, second entry short. Now, second entry short, I thought here is also potentially a trade here as well because it's a decent signal bar. It looks like this could potentially be a failed breakout. EMA is starting to hold the prices down and there's enough room to the bottom of this range. And it's the first break of this green channel, so it looks like it might want to push up once. Now it wants, looks like it made one push up, pull back, second push up, and now it might try to come back down and test the lows. That's exactly what it did. And this comes to the first trade that I actually took. It's a new high, the first entry long. Actually, I took it from back here. I saw it as a kind of a visual. I saw this as one leg down, pull back, second leg down, and I saw this close. It is a little bit, I guess, a little risky in that. Let me see here. This is a decent signal bar, and I call it my first trade, but it's actually technically my second trade because that first trade was kind of a brain fart. So we'll count it officially the second trade. It is a little riskier. I saw this as one leg down, pull up, second leg, and this is starting the potential second leg. I like the close here, and I was thinking there's potentially a channel here. It didn't quite touch the bottom to consider a bounce, so that's why it's a little riskier. But I did see there was enough room to the EMA, so I entered one tick above, and I was able to quickly scalp out. And I'll admit that this wasn't the cleanest setup. I should have waited if I was thinking of going long, maybe for a higher low, but you don't get a higher low. And I think I was a little more lucky on this trade. Prices then continue down. I see a potential fail breakout of this trading range, but no clean setup, so you have to kind of leave it alone. This is where I actually take my third trade. I see a new low here. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. Now I wasn't thinking going long just yet, and I was just waiting. When this bar opened and it was flashing, it actually went above, and I thought, actually, I think this is going to be one leg up, and it made one to push up, and it might have enough power to push to the second, kind of the top of the range. And I actually dropped my order, and I didn't think I was going to get filled. I managed to get filled, and it flashed up and gave me my 1 point profit. Then it went up. It had a fail breakout to kind of match this fail breakout, and it's coming back into range. I'm just kind of sitting on my hands now, and I notice it doesn't touch the bottom here. It just kind of keeps moving up. So I'm just kind of waiting now. You have a new low here. New low here. First entry short, second entry short. Kind of a failure, but it is a little bit congested. Kind of chops left and right. It slowly makes this move up, and I'm thinking it's inside this orange channel right now, but I don't see a clean entry. It's just kind of consolidating and chopping sideways. Nothing really clean, nothing worth taking yet. Even when it makes the high, I'm not that keen on trying to take a short here because the bias is still very bullish. Just watching and waiting. So it makes it all the way back down to the bottom. So maybe there's a long here. There's a failed breakout and it starts moving back side by side, but there's no second entry, nothing. It was just kind of a failed breakout. I do see a new low here. So first entry short doesn't quite make the new bottom. It creates a second entry short. Now the second entry short, I call it an almost setup because EMA, although it is flattening out, it looks like prices are somewhat respecting it at this point. It's keeping the prices down. This is an almost trade because this needed to be a red candle to be more confident in taking this short. And here, you don't know if you're going to move back up to touch the other side. So when this flashed down, now feels too late. And this was kind of the first break of this down channel. So when you see this break, you would think, okay, maybe it wants to come back down and test this. Now this channel is pretty wide. It could actually have been a little bit tighter like this. Nevertheless, when you have an overshoot on this side and they create an overshoot on this side, it might want to resume going back down. But I am aware that it's in this trading range. So it could bounce and continue upwards because it's been very bullish today. So it's an almost setup because it wasn't quite there. Looks like it would have worked though. And it kind of continues chopping around. So when it kind of touches here, that's when I decided, okay, there's probably some kind of trend line support here, touching here, touching here, touching here. But this is pretty late in the day, but I do see it's squeezing against this potential 4,400 support line, and 4,400 is a nice round number. Technically it's down here, but for the most part, it is having trouble breaking through decisively through 4,400. Yes, it made it up to 4402.50, but it really wants to kind of push all the way upwards. But for whatever reason, there are sellers keeping the prices down. So it is interesting. There's going to be some kind of reaction, in my opinion, that's going to happen. So I'm just watching and waiting. Comes up, breaks through. It almost looks like it's going to make a run for it, but it gets smashed back down. And this is already getting pretty late in the day. So I decided, I'm just going to be happy with my 2/3 trades today. And I'm just watching, and it kind of goes into the close. So today, as well as yesterday, the price action has been kind of slow. And not only is the price action slow, the volume has been kind of slow. So I haven't been able to find too many setups. And even with the setups I do find, some of them I felt were a little iffy. So hopefully price action gets a little bit better as the week progresses. But it was already Monday, Tuesday where price action was, I wouldn't say it was difficult, but it wasn't very generous either. So hopefully that was helpful.